All right, IXL time. Let's go with K.8. We're going to work with K.8 this time, okay? All right, so I always say learn with an example. We want to start off by doing that. So the problems are going to look like this. So 5K plus 5 is less than -5. So what are we doing? We're solving two-step linear inequalities. Two-step linear inequalities. Why do we use the term inequality? Because of this symbol right here. That symbol right there. Greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. Those are inequalities, okay? So to solve for 5K plus 5 is less than -5, there's a couple of things that we can do. All right. So first thing we're going to do is we want to make sure that the variables are on this side. We want the variables to be on that side, and we want the numbers to be, we want the variables on the left, and we want the numbers on the right. So when you see that sign, don't think of it as a hashtag, think of it as a number sign. Variables on this side, numbers on that side, okay? So what happened here is they wanted to get this number on this side. So to do that, they did the subtraction. They did, well, let me circle, make sure I get the entire piece. So +5, -5, that cancels out. That really just kind of cancels out. That leaves you with 5K, okay? And on this side, -5 and -5 will give you -10. And then what they decided to do is they want to solve for K. We want to solve for K. So how do you solve for K? We want to get rid of whatever is multiplying by K, because 5K is actually 5 times K. It's actually 5 times K. So since it's 5 times K, to separate 5 from K, we have to divide. So we come down here and we divide, right? So 5K divided by 5 and -10 divided by 5. We did the same thing on both sides. We divided by 5 on both sides, right? All right, so then that cancels out, and that leaves you with the K. And -10 divided by 5 is -2. All right, so that's the simplified answer. So now we're going to go back and practice that, okay? Now we're going to go back and practice that, okay? All right, so now we're back, and the problem that we're working with now is 9Q plus 10 is greater than 1. 9Q plus 10 is greater than 1. All right, so 9Q plus T is greater than 1. So what we're going to do is on the side, we're going to go ahead and start writing everything out. I think it's important that you write the problems yourself instead of trying to do everything in your head. All right, for this reason, it helps you do muscle memory. It also helps you work on it maybe 2 or 3 times in your head while you're working out on paper. So we have 9Q plus 10 is greater than 1. All right, 9Q plus 10 is greater than 1. We want to move the 10, so we're going to subtract 10 on both sides. And if you remember, a lot of times we would put a line straight down. All right, so we can keep in mind that this inequality sign is actually like an equal sign where there's a line down the middle, okay? Good. All right, so the +10 and the -10 cancel out. So you're going to be left with 9Q, and 1 minus 10 is going to give you -9. All right, so 1 minus 10 is -9. And if you want to just use your calculator just to be sure about that, you can do that as well. All right, so we can pull up our handy dandy calculator, and 1 minus 9. Huh. I was mistaken. It should be 1 minus 10, correct? Is -9. Good. All right, so now we have 9Q is greater than -9, right? So we want to divide by 9 on both sides. So that's going to leave us with Q is greater than, and -9 divided by 9 is going to be -1. Okay, so now we can put here Q is greater than -1. Good. So we got that one correct. Good. So now let's move on to this one. We'll do another one very quickly. Okay. So solve for n. 2n plus 10 is greater than or equal to 2. 2n plus 10 is greater than or equal to 2. All right. Well, like I said before, we want to write these out because it just helps us to do it in our paper. It allows us to do it a lot better, actually. Okay. All right. So this time is greater than or equal to. So we want to move the 10. So we want to subtract 10 on both sides. Kind of familiar, right? Keep in mind, we do have a line right down the middle that just kind of continues, that line kind of continues the greater than or equal to sign. Okay, so that's going to leave us with 2n, because the positive 10 and the negative 10 equals 0. So they cancel each other out. So we have 2n, and 2 minus 10 is going to give us -8. So we have 2n is greater than or equal to -8. Now, what we want to do now is we want to isolate n. We want to have n by itself. So we're going to divide both sides by 2. And that's going to leave us with n is greater than or equal to, and -8 divided by 2 is going to give us -4. Okay? Yeah. You want to be sure? Let's be sure. So -8 divided by 2, -4. Sometimes you have to be sure, all right? So our answer is going to be n, and then we're going to choose this option. And then we're going to type in -4. All right, let me return this to submit. Awesome, good. Would you like to do one more? We'll do one more. We'll do one more, okay? So that's -iz plus 6 is greater than 2. All right, so I'm going to rewrite it on my paper. This is the way that I'm rewriting it. Okay. Okay, so -1z plus 6 is greater than 2. What number do we need to move onto the number side? Remember, we want the variables on this side. We want the numbers on this side, right? All right, so we're going to move the 6. So we're going to subtract 6 on both sides. Okay, so that'll give us -1z, because these two will cancel out. And 2 minus 6 is going to give us -4. Now this one is tricky because if you see, we have a negative sign, we have a negative sign with the variable. So that lets us know that we're going to have to flip it. So I'm going to put a little reminder here that we're going to have to flip that, okay? So now we're going to divide by -1 on both sides. Okay, so this -1 divided by -1, that's going to cancel out. That's going to leave us with z. And then this -1, this -4 divided by -1 is going to give us 4. Okay, all right. Now, just to be sure, because I know they're looking at two negatives, right? All right, so let's do this. -4 divided by -1 is 4. Okay, now remember this? Remember this? That little symbol there reminds us that we're going to have to flip the signs. That thing reminds us that we're going to have to flip the signs. So we're going to have to flip this sign. So when we rewrite it, when we flip the sign, it's actually going to be z is less than 4. Okay? Because we had a negative variable here, we put this marker to remind us that we're going to have to flip the sign. So we flip the sign, all right? So now we're going to type in z is less than 4. And let's do this. I can reduce it so we can see if I'm correct or not. Okay. Z is less than 4. That's right. All right. So now you know how to solve these types of problems. You should do pretty well. I expect you to do very well on these. Okay. So have a great day.